Come on, little internet, you can do it.
Internet's go!
I believe in you.
I believe
When our powers
Believe
combine.
in the power of the internet.
Oh,
Believe.
no. I believe in the
Powers
internet.
combined.
Oh, here it goes.
Here it goes.
There
Yay.
it goes. Yay.
Now I've got Captain Planet's theme stuck in my head.
You're
I
welcome.
don't even know that one. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Into Next and EverQuest. Oh, here it goes. Oh,
Here it goes.
hold on.
Yay.
There we go.
Is it broken?
No,
Did you
but I
break
can
it?
hear my own ears and my own earphones, and so we're good. So, hey, everybody, welcome to the cast. We are going to talk about EverQuest Next tonight. This is not Landmark tonight. This is EverQuest Next, so that's why it's Into Next. The Landmark one is Into the Portal.
Wait, so I don't
Excuse me.
get it. Landmark and EverQuest Next are like two different games?
They are
I
two
thought it was
completely
like,
separate games,
What's the
yeah.
deal? Then I don't get... Oh, is that what
Yes.
it is?
And I think we have a developer in the audience, maybe. Oh, yeah, I got Ara's name up here. Oops, I fix that. Ara looks so much different. That's so funny because Tobrand shaved his beard, so now he looks like Ara.
Yes, that's exactly who I look like.
Exactly like Ara. Hold on,
Right
let me
enough.
fix that real quick. Sorry. This is Tobrand, everybody.
Yeah. Hello.
This is how you do a podcast.
He did something weird to his face. We don't know
I
what
did.
it
I don't like it.
He got a hair
I can't.
accident.
There's like no Control Z in real life, so I'm just like stuck with it.
Yes.
Sucks.
Alright.
Didn't see that.
So
Oh.
we're joined
Computer
tonight by
jokes.
Ms. Skylertron, Mr. Tobrand, Mr. Locke, and our moderator, Mr. Stakas, who's down there in the corner, being all cutesy
Yep.
and everything.
Well, I'm seeing as Maker couldn't be here. I'm going to be chat bitch dragging the questions if we have any.
Yes. All right, everybody. So we're going to talk. It's probably going to not be as long of one tonight, but we will
Do
get
you
through it.
think before we begin, Stackers gave us a nice lead in to mention how people could ask questions if they were interested
Just
in
about to say
taking
that,
part
yes.
in the Q&A? Then, yeah, sorry,
Just about to say.
I
but
felt
anyway.
I felt like you were going to start. with
No,
that.
I wasn't going to start. No, I was going to go. And if you have any questions, make sure you put them into brackets.
I don't think
I'm sorry.
No.
I'm sorry. I didn't.
I didn't.
can't see the.
Oh, did you not? Did you make a
No.
mod?
I think if I had one, it had got deleted, so I'll have to make another one. But yes, I'll do it now.
Yes, we have to do that. That'd be a good idea because then we just from this point on we always do that. Fire Rain SOE's Lock, stop trolling our games. Is that Terry Michaels?
Yes.
Well, Mr. Michaels, try and make me.
You can't stop the lock. Isn't that a song?
That's probably the worst thing I could have said.
The lock can't stop. The lock can't stop.
Terry's just
Thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us. Great to have
account
you.
delete.
Yeah, Terry does have power like that. Lock. He can delete your account.
This is
He can
true.
delete you from the internet. You
He
should be
can
worried.
get you really off the internet.
Yeah. He can he can make me disappear. That's, you know,
It's awesome. Real quick, before we get too far, and I do want to mention one other thing that's kind of coming up. Next Friday, we will not be doing an Into the Portal or an Into Next. Next Friday morning, I am starting a charity drive for a friend of ours who's a vicious Landmark streamer. He streams Landmark almost exclusively. His name is Madman Moose, and he's a regular streamer for Landmark, and he's also part of our team, and he's a follower of mine and a subscriber. He has been diagnosed with cancer again, and so we're going to be doing a fundraiser for him starting next Friday. It's going to be Friday morning into Saturday morning. I'm going to do a 24-hour stream here where it's going to be all over the place. Omeed has already given me a bunch of stuff to give away, so we're going to be doing that. Giveaways for Landmark and mostly Landmark stuff to give away. Not just Lunar Anklets, but also good stuff like, well, that's good stuff, but you know what I mean. Trailblazer packs, Explorer packs, Settler packs.
big stuff.
Big stuff. Big money junks. So that's going to be next week. And so next Friday we won't be having a show, but it'll be the following show after that. But I'll be on all day, so you guys can come hang out and win all kinds of prizes for Landmark and Star Citizen and all the other companies that are throwing in bunches of things to give away. Sorry, my voice is gone. I've streamed about 30 hours in the past 3 days, so I'm a little bit losing my voice. Because of that, we're going to kind of make it short tonight, hopefully, and we'll go get through our stuff. And Tobran, you must eat a Jaffa.
I have several times already.
All right, good, very good.
You can't stop him. It's like a disease.
You can't stop me, be real.
All right, so what do we want to talk about first tonight? We were discussing this a little bit before the show. We want to talk a little bit about how Sony's branding and messaging is sort of switching over a little bit now towards a little bit more towards EQN.
It's sort of creeping over a little bit.
Yeah, it's creeping. I think we made the mistake, like we always do, of starting the conversation before
the show.
And
we had this great conversation. I was like, please stop. We got it.
Yeah, well, it's been a couple of weeks since we've done this, and I, for one, have definitely noticed there's been a subtle shift in the kind of messaging of the marketing that they're doing. Before a couple of weeks, like the fortnight previous, whenever EQ Next came up, they'd always say, like, we're talking about Landmark right now. That's what we're very focused on. We want everyone, to be excited about that and, like, be clear about what it is and everything. But now, it seems like more things are being framed within the context of EQ Next. And, I think that's good. I mean, it's weird, though, because obviously everything that came before that was about Landmark was still kind of, it was still part of EQ Next in that way. It's the real kind of foundation back-end stuff. But more recently, they're being explicit about how it's going to impact EQ Next. And I'm not completely sure whether that's totally a product just of feedback from the community, or if it means that maybe they're preparing the communities to start hearing more about EQ Next and trying to lay the groundwork there. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I definitely think that they're ramping up to maybe prepare for SOE Live.
They just did a roundtable where they talked about, like 2 days ago, they talked about what they were going to be talking about at SOE Live, and it was panels. But they said that they were going to start the distribution off more of a 50-50, 50% Landmark, 50% Next.
I think that makes sense. They've got two big titles that they're hoping to be very popular titles. It's their flagship IP. Even though Landmark's lost the EverQuest Next Landmark, but it's still tied to EverQuest Next. So it's a big draw for them, obviously. And I think it's good to give equal time to both, even though, like, EverQuest Next, it's going to be like new, exciting, all big reveals and things, and like John Smedley's going to get up on stage and go, "What, you thought it was just going to be a game? We're changing the whole of the continent of South America to be NORAD." That kind of those kind of big reveals that they like to do at SOE Live. But yeah, there's loads to talk about. Landmarks. I mean, if you look at the blueprint up to August, I mean, there's still, to me anyway, it looks like there's still some real kind of core features, or like a huge amount of stuff that can be built on. And they've been hinting for a while that there are still things coming to Landmark that they haven't really told us about yet. So I think there's we could still see some big reveals about Landmark, but obviously, I think the buzz is going to be around EQ Next at SOE Live.
Yeah, I can't wait for it, to be quite honest with you, because I'm really looking forward to Next, and it's been sort of trickling in little bits of pieces of information, and I'm hoping that it's a big explosion of information. And most of you guys are going to be there, right? Skylar, you're going to be there?
Yep.
Tobran, are you going?
Yep.
Locke's going?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, Locke's getting married there by Omeed and Elvis.
Mm-hmm.
Confirmed.
Yep.
Confirmed. That's what's going to happen.
Stuckus, are you going? Probably not.
No, I've discussed this particular situation with Locke previously, and no, I will not be able to join you guys, unfortunately. I'm sorry.
Okay.
You can watch our
I won't be
sexiness
going
on live streams.
I was already I already had tickets and stuff to do something else with my family at that time before I even knew anything about this. So, yeah, it's going to be married by Omeed dressed as Elvis. Did I not say that right? Hey, Super Fancy, how you doing tonight?
Hey.
Uni.
Locke will marry Elvis, confirmed.
No, see,
talking about
What's that?
it's
Yep.
What?
I was just
Well,
going to say,
hello.
so Uni's put married by Omeed dressed as Elvis, and I was going to say, no, they're the same person.
Yeah.
Omeed
Have you
is
ever
actually
seen them in the
Elvis.
same room?
That's exactly right. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, Locke.
Go ahead, Locke. You were going to say.
What was I saying? Yeah, it's funny as well, talking about like the trickle of info about EQ Next is in a weird kind of place, because do you remember when the Law video with Morgard and Jeff Butler and like Omeed talking about, they were talking about the way that the Law was going to be presented in EQ Next, and it was a weird thing where the video went up on YouTube, but it was obviously not meant to, because it came down very quickly, but someone had already put it on Reddit.
Mm-hmm.
And then it kind of went up a week later, and there was no fanfare or anything. And if you watch that video, it's really like, there's some really solid stuff about the way we can expect the world of EQ Next to be, and like the way that the sort of new Norath is going to operate. And it represents some real kind of fundamental and seismic changes about the way that EverQuest games have dealt with story, and the way that MMOs in general have dealt with delivering story to players. And it just really seemed like everyone watched it and went, eh. You know, like no one. I expected there to be.
You
like,
think it might
huge...
be that we're just so focused on Landmark right now that it just Next has sort of lost its steam?
I don't think Next
but,
has
like,
lost its steam. Go ahead.
Go
No,
ahead.
no, on you go. You started.
No, you go.
Fine. Let's be that way. But surely, like, everyone playing Landmark is surely interested in Next. So why isn't there more steam? You know, I would have thought with more coming out now, there'd be more steam than there was before, because we got new players coming into the game. But then eventually going to find out about Landmark. Wait, what about Next? Well, then surely they want more information about that. So, why? That's my question as well. Why isn't there more people looking at that?
It might have to do with the messaging kind of getting switched around a little bit too. The branding. I think this is kind of a problem that Sony's got right now. Is they came out with Landmark, and it was EverQuest Next Landmark, and then they dropped the EverQuest Next part, and then they're sort of like let EverQuest Next disappear in the background. And when I was streaming it really heavily, I all the time got people showing up in my streams. You guys probably still, who are still streaming it pretty heavily, you probably still get this. People show up and go, "Is this EverQuest Next?" And it's like, no, this is not EverQuest Next. This is Landmark. Well, what's that? So Sony's just got this sort of uphill battle to do with this messaging, because they're coming out with two very similar things at the same time, and it's hard for people to kind of get their head wrapped around it, I believe. That might be why the excitement might be there for Next.
I think with a product like Landmark, which is obviously, it's a very difficult thing to describe. Like the elevator pitch for Landmark is probably a little bit more involved. Like it's very difficult with Landmark to say, oh well, it's like this and this. Like a lot of people use the Minecraft comparison, but then I kind of say, well, it's sort of like Minecraft if, as well as gathering and building machinery to use for crafting, you're also gathering and building crafting components to then make extra, like the mod parts of Minecraft as well. Like if you could build the mod Tekkit within Minecraft using the game tool, and it all becomes this weird like convoluted thing that like people don't, you know, it's hard to kind of grasp, because there's nothing exactly like it that's come before, or nothing that's going to play like it. But I think the specific example of the law panel that we saw, even though it was short, I think a lot of like MMO players, and especially people that are coming in early to an EverQuest title, you can sort of assume that it's going to be people that have been around MMOs for a while, like the type of people that are excited about a new EverQuest product. Mm-hmm. The majority of them have probably been around since like near the beginning, or at least like EQ2, but that's still, what's that, 10 years for, is it 10 years yet for EQ2?
Yeah.
Yes.
And that kind of video where people sit around and go, oh, the stories are going to be great, and the way it's delivered is going to be different, and we're going to make players part of the world and everything. How many times have we heard those things from other games that were unable to deliver because of the way that they were structured to begin with? You know, like every game comes out and says, oh, we're going to be different, we're going to be different, we're going to be different. And even now, when the developers of EQ Next say, "Oh, we're going to be different," people kind of go, "Yeah, well, we've heard that. We're sort of ready to see something in action." And even though personally, for me, like in all my kind of research and conversations that I've had with people, I'm confident that they are going starting from a new position and attempting to make something that is revolutionary and not reheating too many older ideas.
It's hard to say that you're different when most people are describing your game using another game as a point of reference.
Yeah.
And I believe the same thing about H1Z1. People are like, oh, it's sort of like DayZ or it's sort of like Rust. Like, you can describe WoW without saying it's like EverQuest. Can you describe Landmark without saying it's like Minecraft?
Probably not. But that's because I think Minecraft is now a genre. I've talked about this before. Is that the word Minecraft explains all voxel building games from now on. So it's basically Landmark is a Minecraft game. Even though it's not Minecraft, it's a Minecraft game because it's part of that genre. Because it was kind of, I guess, a amorphous thing to try to describe to people. Like, what do you mean a building game? What is a building game?
I always say though, like, Landmark is like Minecraft in the way that Titanfall is like Mega Man X. Because
I'm lost
in Mega Man X, Stackus knows what I'm talking about. Yeah. In Mega Man X, you run, jump, wall jump, slide around. You can get in mechs and you shoot stuff. And in Titanfall, you run and jump and wall jump and get in mechs and you shoot stuff. Those are the things that you are doing, but just like the way you go about doing them and the possibility space within that, I think personally is different enough to kind of make that comparison. Like the superficial comparisons are obviously there. But I think that just the what the games are about fundamentally, I think Landmark represents a slightly different type of genre. The fact that it's structured as an MMO and there's user-generated content systems within that game, I think it just makes even though like what you're doing is superficially the same, it makes what your fundamental goals are different enough to sort of recontextualize everything. That's what I think. What I hope, we're still waiting to see a lot of it.
John Paul was just explaining. Somebody said no. It's a building game is called a sim, Papa Zooey, but not all sims are building games. There's a lot of simulators that have nothing to do with building, like Euro Truck Driver. I build that much in that one.
And I'd also argue, how is building with a giant block of material that in real life technically weighs thousands of pounds, how is in any way that a simulator of any kind, considering a simulator by all means is supposed to simulate something.
Yeah.
Like a truck simulator or a flying simulator or a space simulator, although, when you state space, not exactly relevant, but even just,
we can go to space. We just haven't.
But I mean, it's supposed to be a simulator as far as to replicate the conditions that you would if you were actually doing that particular job. And as far as like a Minecraft type of game goes, someone worked it out. Yeah, Goat Simulator. I mean, you can't be a goat, but someone worked it out that if you can carry so many, like 64 blocks of stone, it would weigh some millions and millions of tons that this guy's apparently carrying. You can't call that a simulator at any.
He's got really strong ankles.
He's very strong. He can punch trees down. So
exactly, but he can't fight a zombie.
Nerd polling as well. In Minecraft, you can like jump and place a block underneath you. That's
exactly.
Like a meter square. So
that's
you can jump a meter, put the block and keep doing that and get higher and higher and higher. You wouldn't give that to an engineering student and call it a simulator. But Euro Truck Simulator, if someone was thinking about being a truck driver around Europe, maybe that'd offer them something worthwhile. Maybe. Yep. I don't know. I'm not a truck driver. My uncle is though. My dad's twin is a lorry driver.
Is he?
All right, Kev. He's not watching.
But yes.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, so that's pretty good. What was the other thing we were going to talk about today? Oh, see about moving on here.
Stuff and junk. I want to talk about SOE Live. I'm so excited.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, that was the other thing we were going to talk about. I mean, we were going to talk about SOE Live. Okay, which I am not going to, but you three are. Stockus, we'll just sit out and let them talk about it. You guys talk about all the things you want to see at SOE Live, all the autographs you want to get, and... I don't know. Do you want to? You guys want to go first? No, I'm not going.
Sure. Okay, I'll
I wasn't
go ahead.
talking to you.
Okay,
Don't
I tell you
ever
what I
think
want
about
to see.
you,
I want to see it live
just
streamed.
because we're on your channel.
I want it to be live streamed like they do with Blizzard. Terry Michaels, can you make that happen, please?
They're live streaming some of the panels.
Yeah, they are.
Just some, though. They
Although,
should do an
if-
online pass where you have to pay to see all of them.
That's what Blizzard do. It works
Yeah.
well. They earn millions from it. Well, maybe
And then
not.
live stream the pool party.
I want to see.
That would be dangerous.
Omeed in those polka dotted pants from the
I
last.
can't
pool
go to
party.
that though.
I think it's weird, isn't it? Because you want to be surprised, and you want to go, and you want things to happen that make you go, "Wow, that's incredible." So it's almost like predicting what's going to happen takes a bit of the wind out of the sails of that.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I don't know. And also, you don't want to go too far because you don't want to have like too many expectations of it. But I guess. I'm really looking forward to meeting people. You know, I want to give Skylar a high five, and I want to put my hand on Tobrin's knee and make him uncomfortable again.
You've already done that. You've already done that. Like, don't go there.
again.
You've done that.
I said again, like so many times. He wouldn't hold my hand when we walked down the street. Just so everyone.
Hold on, we did
Yeah.
that. Don't go there. We did that.
He wouldn't
Lame.
do that. He wouldn't-
We did it in the hotel lobby as well. Okay.
Terry Michaels says they will stream the keynotes and some of the panels. So cool.
Yeah, just some of them.
Well, that's-
And that
that's
he has pictures of Omeed's pants.
I have pictures of Omeed's pants.
pants pictures. Everyone's got pictures of Omeed's pants. Let's be honest. He sends me about 3 a day. Just when he gets into work, when he's just takes a little photo with his iPad. It carries everywhere.
Yeah, everyone in the audience is asking who Fairy and SOE is. That's Terry Michaels.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The legendary
man himself.
The man himself, yeah.
I mean, meeting everyone, getting to chat to devs about stuff, and like just ask them questions. Listening to Jeff Butler talking about game design is just brilliant. Like obviously, Mr. Michaels, it would be a pleasure to talk to you and bore everyone about comic books again. That would be hilarious. But yeah, as far as panels go, I'd like to see something big for EQ next. I'd like in my heart, like I'd just like it. I'd like it if they could show off something that was really just the sort of the fundamental, like the core of what they wanted to communicate about EverQuest next. Like even if it was like a staged thing, like in the game, and just moving the models around. It wouldn't have to be like anything completed. I wouldn't expect to be able to play any kind of version of it. I think that'd be somewhat redundant anyway. Like with Landmark being sort of so parallel, like I don't know how much they'd be able to get done that'd be impressive. But I don't know, maybe just like showing part of a rallying call, or maybe showing how the AI can interact with itself. Maybe like they were talking about last year. It feels like forever because it's just been like, for me personally, it's been such a huge journey from seeing that presentation by Dave Georgeson at SOE Live when it was like, what is EverQuest next? From seeing that to now, it just feels like so much has happened. Like, my life is very different now, and just going to then and like seeing what it's going to be a year later. Maybe just some examples like what Dave Georgeson was talking about, the siege of the town, tunneling underground, and like something coming back up. Something with scale and grandeur that, you can just sort of hold on to and be like, this is going to be impressive. It's going to assuage my fears that for all the talk, it's not going to be another kind of cookie cutter MMO, which I know it isn't. Like in my head, like I know it's like it's being made in a different way, so it will be different, like for better or worse. Like some things will be more successful than others, but ultimately, like just want to be able to hold on to it and go, look, it's not another one. It's something else.
There's Terry
the whole
right there.
Sandpark thing I'm loving at the moment.
I'm just showing a little bit of one of the panels from last year. So while you guys are talking about it, so that's okay. Continue on.
Stuff and junk. I was
And
saying
words.
Things, loud noises.
Words, things, noises.
Yeah. I think I'm just loving the whole Sandpark thing so much at the moment. Like I'm still on the I'm still on the arcade train, and I'm having a gay old time with it. So I am. It's been a lot of fun, but it's funny, we play and we really enjoy all the kind of sandbox elements of it in that kind of fantasy environment. But a lot of the conversations when I'm just talking to my friends when I'm playing it is, oh, imagine this, but in EQ Next, when there's going to be like the destructibility and there's going to be the emergent AI systems and political systems and warring factions and things. So it's still framed within that, but Arcade is pretty baller. But, that's why I like Arcade for the same reasons that I'm excited about
EverQuest Next. Exactly. That's the one thing is I've been playing a lot of that lately, and most of you have been watching. Skylar, do you have it? You have it.
Yeah, right? I have it. I stopped playing because I felt like I had to grind to get to the good stuff.
It's a Korean game.
Yeah, but I don't want to wait for the good stuff. I want it to be the whole game, not.
That's a good point to bring up. I mean, in Arcade, yes, you do have to grind. It does feel really. So, is that something that EverQuest Next is going to be able to nail? For more of a Western market, because the Koreans love that sort of thing. Like that's the kind of game they want to play, is something that takes them 6 months to get to the point where they can build a house. So to them, that's not a big deal. To us, we're all like, oh my god, well, I want to build that tomorrow.
I don't personally need like instant gratification. I just want my character to always feel like there's some sort of progression, and I didn't get that with Arcade. And I hope that something interesting is always happening in EQ Next. I'm not just killing 10 rats.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that's the idea behind the sort of emergent AI system, isn't it? Like going out and finding an adventure rather than going from exclamation point to exclamation point, which is one weakness of Arcade. That it's an archaic questing system. But I think like I kind of see that questing system like up to level 30. It's kind of like a lot of it is teaching you how to play the game, and you do need that. Like you need to be able to. But as far as getting things done, like from the time it took me and Mag, who I've been playing with a bit, from the time it took us to like make the decision that we were going to make him a boat to actually having the boat was maybe a couple of hours, I think. Like, it wasn't this huge slog. If you want the next boat, if you want the better boat, then, there's more of a time investment. For me, like what I think is the issue in Arcade is the fact that when you get to level 30, you go into PvP zones, and that's what the game is. I don't care if you don't like PvP. That's what the game. That's what this game is.
To do that.
You don't have to play it. I don't care what your opinion is about PvP right now in this context. Okay, so you go into these PvP areas, and you're expected to fight against other players. Even players of your own faction can kill you if they want to, for any reason. But the power curve is so steep between levels 30 and 50 that you are not competitive against a level 50. And even as a group of level 30s, if you're leveling with your friends, like even as a group, like, a couple of level 50s can quite easily just steamroll you. Mm-hmm. And to me, that's obviously a massive problem, isn't it? And the way that, like...
Well, would you like to see, like, 10 30s be able to take out a 50?
No, I'd like to
3
see
30s.
130. I'd like to see 130 be able to kill a 50.
I thought...
But then what's the point of being 50 if a 30 can kill you?
Yeah. I'm glad you asked, Mr. Anwood.
Level doesn't equal skill.
Explain.
When you get okay, so power curve usually sort of goes like that in an MMO, doesn't it? Like it goes straight up. Like, if someone's 10 levels above you, they're going to roll you easily. But we've seen more like horizontal progression games, which sandboxes tend to be. When you've got a game like Arcade or a game like EQ Next that has a huge pool of skills and is very crafting focused as well. So you spend a lot of time and energy like devoted to actually building things and working in groups and stuff. There doesn't need to be that direct power curve. Like, you don't have to, exponentially increase the health bar. You don't have to exponentially increase the amount of damage someone can put out. If you look at the skill trees in Arcade, like down the bottom skills that you can only access when you are level 50, you can create builds within that are much more potent than level 30 builds. What I'm saying is, if that's possible anyway, and as a level 50, if you've obviously had more time to get the better ships with more cannons on them, get the better glider that can go further and faster and has better attacks, get more like attacks and abilities on the different mount, have more time to make connections and get organized with your guild. If you already have all of that, why do they also have the extra advantage of being able to two-shot someone who's level 30? For me, there's no reason other than, you tend to get the argument of people going, when I'm higher level, I want to go back to the early zones and I want to one-shot everything because it makes me feel powerful. It's like, you know what makes you feel powerful? When you win because you were better. That's, to me, that makes me feel much more powerful than if it's handed to me.
Yeah, exactly.
So to me, obviously it's a numbers thing, and maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, but
we have to every once in a while. Let's pause for a second. I want to grab because you were saying some really good stuff there, and then Terry was replying to you in chat, and now it's gone. But what he said here was, well, he agrees on the progression. Our goal for next is to always have something new to do, and then he said exactly, Locke, which I think you were saying something about how you wanted to, rule the world. He's like,
stuff and junk. Words. It doesn't really matter. People just wait for me to finish talking. That's
and I've said it before. My ideal game is a game where we never have to do the same thing twice. And he says I can if I want to, but it is an expected path. Okay, so and then welcome Omeed, who's just shown up as well.
Dariani
shakes fist.
My thing.
Okay. Yeah. So. With Arcade, the sandboxy part, it doesn't feel sandboxy at all to me, even though you can jump right in, supposedly, and level all the way to 50 by doing, like, digging in the dirt and, being a fisherman. I don't think any of that stuff really opens up until later on when you have a little bit more money. It just sort of seems like it's we're getting raided by Jimmy. Hey, Jimmy.
Hey.
Hey, Jimmy. Everybody follow Jimmy. He's a bearded warrior, and he streams Landmark nonstop. That guy. So if you guys want to see Landmark all the time, you want to follow Jimmy. So it seems to me that you're sort of still forced in at least Arcade to go down the intro noob path to learn the basics of the game, and then you can go into the more sandboxy stuff. I almost would love to see a game that would start out as sandboxy right off the bat. Like, no, I'm going to put my weapons down. I'm going to walk over here. I'm going to pick up a hoe and an axe, and I'm going to go start digging up. No, suckers. I did not say it that way. And I'm going to go start digging in the dirt, and then I'm going to start planting some trees and whatever. So
I agree with that.
Yeah. There's
nothing that stops you doing that in Arcade.
I don't know, because some of those quests where they teach you to like take your pack from point A to point B so you can get the Gilda stars and all that. That's a long deal. Like that, you have to be like at least level 10 before you can even get those quests. So, as I'm saying, it's not something you do from level 1. I'm talking about I want to get in there and just do it, So
you don't want any kind of introductory experience for a new player whatsoever?
Maybe for a new player, sure, but what if you're already an experienced player?
But, Domo, isn't that what Eve does, and you were struggling to start?
Eve,
I hate to just shut down your argument, but that totally happened. I saw it.
No, Eve was because it was a terrible game.
As soon as you log in, you don't have to do any of those tutorials. You can just fly off into space and do whatever you want.
You can't fly off into space. You can open up a spreadsheet and consider flying off into space, but you can't actually fly off into space.
Well, I guess that comes down to what type of input you enjoy. But in Arcade as well, it's kind of like if you just want to be a farmer and you just want to do that, you absolutely can. But in any game, if you're not taking the optimal path, then you're going to struggle. And I think a game like Arcade, I've played a lot of MMOs for a long time, and I'm level 30 in Arcade, and there's still tons of stuff I haven't got the slightest clue how to even begin doing. And that's with following all the quests that are designed to teach you how to do stuff. I'm level 30. I've put loads of hours in. I've assembled the components I need for my fishing pole.
Yeah.
And apparently, now I have to learn how to fish, and I'm only just getting to that point.
I've got a level 30, and I've got a level 15, and both of them together, I just now got to the point where I planted some strawberries. You know what I
Really?
mean? Yeah.
Well, that's because you didn't plant any strawberries.
Well, maybe.
If you want to plant strawberries, you need the Scarecrow Garden.
I got the Scarecrow Garden. We're
which
good.
is like what's that like level 10 maybe?
That's what I'm talking about. That's where you got to do the donkey trip.
Hours. Mm-hmm. Well, that's like a couple of hours, and then if you find space to put your Scarecrow, you put it down, and then you buy seeds and you plant the seeds and you water them. How can it be quicker than that? Like, I mean, you can take that 1 to 10 experience out, but then what about like Arcade? It's ridiculously expensive to get in at the moment, but that's going to be a free to play game when it goes live. You look at EQ Next, the people that are going to be playing that. There's it's a free to play game. There's going to be 8-year-olds playing. There's going to be people who weren't born when EverQuest came out playing the game, and it would be their first MMO. And you're saying that there shouldn't be any kind of like introductory quest chain for those people?
I just don't think it's a true sandbox if you have to do some of the...
Well, make it optional then.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So
You
make it so you don't have to do it, which is what Arcade is like. Really, you don't have to do it in Arcade. It's just the most optimal way to do it is to follow those quests, which is why people, it's why you do it, because it's path of least resistance, isn't it? And they want you to do it. The game's designed because they want you to follow those quests, because they want you to understand what's going on in the game.
Yeah,
I don't feel like I understand anything more about Arcade after leveling to 20 that I didn't get from 1 through 5.
Right, that's what I'm trying to say is I'm already up to level 30. I still have no clue what I'm supposed to do. Like, I'm just like, well, maybe I'll go make a boat now. Or maybe I'll
go kill 10 bandits.
Yes.
All the time.
Basically, Kodavos says, fishing poles, strawberries, that sounds like a game for casuals who don't like immersion.
I am a hardcore farmer.
And he better be running.
Yep. And then Kimball says, Arcade is a hybrid between a sandbox and a theme park. It has a lot of stuff to do in the game.
I agree with that.
But see, that's what I kind of liked about Arcade is that, okay, so let's just say I don't want to do sandbox. Like, that's why I'm level 30, because I just said, you know what? Forget sandbox. I'll learn that stuff later, which I haven't yet, by the way. But I thought, I'll just go and level the standard traditional theme park way. And that's what I'm kind of doing. And I'm enjoying it because I know what to do with that. I'm like, I know if I drop this quest off here, I go over there and drop the quest off over there and pick up the next quest. And, this sort of routine that we know how to do with all these other games.
Yeah. But, Mr. Michaels has made an excellent point.
What's that?
There's a lot of different ways. There's a lot of different ways to teach people how to interact with your game. The key thing is to let people know what is possible, and basically, like, when you show people what's possible, then when they start making their way towards it, that's when you start showing them like how.
So maybe there's a quest like this is how you plant strawberries right in the beginning, and then it says, okay, would you like to go, hunt monsters to level up, or would monsters level up, or would you like to continue farming? And
I think in a sandbox, there's a brilliant talk actually on the GDC Vault by I always forget his name, but he's one of the designers for Eve. He works for CCP. He's very self-aware.
Look, there are some people that love that.
Very aware of the type of game that it is, and he says a very similar thing. He refers to it as like, he says that you need to give players. He refers to them as like mountaintops. Like they need to be able to see the goals on the horizon. Like the goals on the horizon need to be very visible, and they also need to be very sort of numerous. But I think the visibility is a very interesting thing. I think if the end goal is a bit too opaque, like that's when it starts getting a bit difficult in a sandbox. Like with Arcade, because it's got this like sand park thing about it, they try and lead you through the game using a traditional story-driven questing model. Yes. Like that's what they're trying to like lead you through everything with. That's the tool that they've decided to use, which obviously is an inherent problem with sandboxes, because then it means that you're on a linear path, which I think is like your real problem with it, isn't it? It's like if you're sort of stuck on this treadmill going forward and you have to go do this, now do this, now do this, now do this. It's kind of like you're always feeling like, well, when do I get to do what I want to do? Like,
when do you get off the treadmill?
Yeah, exactly that, Skylar. And that's what I felt like. Is like at some point I was like, okay, I just want to go build a boat now. When can I go make my boat? And I'm just like, well, I can go make my boat at some point, I guess. But I got a quest over here I got to drop off. I got one over there I got to drop off too. And it's sort of like that. So how do they? Yeah. Where do we go here? How does Sony take EverQuest next to that level, to where it's both immersive and open, and fun for more than just one type of gamer. You know, the people that I think like EVE are a certain type of gamer, but that doesn't mean that they would like other types of games. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I think it's an interesting challenge with EQ Next. Obviously, I think the 3D environment, you know, obviously presents its own kind of challenges with that. For me personally, if it was me doing it, I'd pretty much build everything around the multi-classing system. You know, I'd have different crafting disciplines as classes, you know, that you could learn and build everything that way. So like as you progress through activities within the game, if you do one thing a lot, it will take you down a certain path that opens up to allow you to do that more effectively, or, you know, diversify more or become more specific in what you're doing. But, you know, like you say, at the start, you go, I want to go and fight some things now. Mm-hmm. So you start off and you're one of the basic classes, you know, the bog standard warrior, rogue, wizard, whatever it's going to be. And you go out and you're a warrior and you go, I'm a warrior because I want to fight things. And you go out and you fight. And then you get an achievement pop up that says, you know, you have killed X many Y. This is all very basic. So please, no one tell me how, you know, how annoying it is that Care Bears get achievements or whatever it is you're going to say. Now, because you've done that, and because that's an activity that you've engaged in, and it's something that you're doing and you're moving towards, and you obviously through your play you are telling the game that's the type of content that you want. Then it starts to like open that up for you, and then because you've done it a lot, it says, okay, you are a warrior. Because you've obviously done this a lot and you've used the skills a lot. Now the sergeant class is open to you.
Do you remember that they did mention?
It's almost like a sort of promotion, and then that class could have different skills that augment your primary class in different ways, or maybe you could go in a different direction. Instead of being a sergeant, you want it to be like a barbarian, which was like a slightly different thing, but still like based very much around combat. And let's say you went the other way and you wanted to be gathering and everything. You see where I'm going with this, like,
yeah. They did have
so
a
it's
book
based on activities.
That you were talking about. They had a book called The Rose Song. Remember that? So a lot of this stuff we talked about a long time ago when we first started doing our podcast. That is sort of, we deviated off and we went solely into Landmark, and we're in the same situation that I think the general public is in. Is that we learned about a lot of this stuff heavy duty back in August or September last year, and then we went hardcore into Landmark, and now we're all trying to come back around to what's going to be coming up with next, and that's why I think making this all full circle is when SOE Live happens, they're going to be able to sort of reinvigorate the people that are here for Next. Because as much as I like Landmark, I think Next to me is what really is pulling me ahead, especially when I start playing Arcade. I was like, damn it, when is Next coming? Because this is what I want Next to be, and I'm feeling like I don't want to play this Korean grindy game. I want to go back to Norath, you know, and I want to go back and do all that stuff. And so
that's fair. I'm very much waiting for EverQuest Next. Like I'm enjoying Arcade a lot. I'm enjoying the possibilities of it. I mean, you know me. I'm excited by the idea of meaningful open world PvP. I like possibility space, which Arcade has in absolute spades. Like the amount of things that can happen in that game is huge. But obviously, you know, different games are for different people, and you know, I wouldn't. In the same way that like I hope that EverQuest Next doesn't try to be for everyone, because I think that's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, Diggs said it right. We need an SOE EQ Ed refresher. We need the
a lot's probably changed as well.
That's
like
true,
since SOE Live last year. I mean, they didn't say a huge amount after that. And as development goes on, and as they discovered things while building Landmark and the framework for EQ Next, I'm sure they've worked out better ways to do a lot of the stuff. And it's very exciting.
Yep. All right, so it has now been an hour. Would we like to start our Q&A session?
I'd like to clarify one thing. Okay. Someone said in chat, will PvP be forced on everyone? Terry Locke is convinced EQN will. That's the opposite of what I've said, and I have no idea why you think that.
Anything the words PvP would just throw at Locke, like, whether it's right or wrong. It's just, that's Locke's
fault.
Well,
that's not I've never said anything like that. So I don't.
No worries. Okay, so let's start. I guess start with the questions. Now, everybody, we do have Q&A session now, and we do have Terry and Omeed in the audience. So if we can't answer one of the questions, we might throw it at them. But of course, there's a bit of a delay. So Skylar, would you like to read the questions this evening? My voice is almost gone, so I'm like, I'm having a hard time even just talking right now. It's like, I sound like an old man.
Old man, Domo.
Get off my lawn.
Okay, Snowman Wilkie. EverQuest Next is a sandbox. What qualities make a game a sandbox? What has to be changed between a limited player sandbox, like Minecraft, versus an MMO sandbox?
Okay. Does anyone want to go?
Well, a sandbox game is just that. It's like virtually like if you have a sandbox outside of your house, you can go out there and build whatever you want, and you can do anything you want. You could be a pirate playing in the sandbox, or you can build houses in the sandbox. You know, all of that kind of stuff can happen in the sandbox. So an MMO sandbox should be where you're playing in this big box with all these other people. Okay, so you're like a kid on the playground in the sandbox, and you've got a friend that comes over, and now you're working on a little castle. You got another friend that comes over, and you're like digging a little ditch, and you got another friend that comes over and stabs you in the back with a knife. And so all that should be part of that sandbox experience.
It was a really good. I remember Snowman gave me the perfect word to describe the differences between theme parks. We were talking about it, and I said, like, when you're playing a theme park MMO, the game wants to cast you as a hero within the world, and they want to take you on a journey.
You're the
and
hero.
It's almost like that sort of hero fantasy that is great and exists in a lot of games and movies, and we all love it.
Yeah.
And you go through it, and because you're the hero, you have to take part in certain events at certain times. So the game constructs things, and it's usually done through instancing and MMOs, because obviously there's all other people around ruining the experience for you otherwise. So you go through and you go along those predetermined things, and that's how it tells a story. You know, it's called a theme park because as you move through the world, you stop at like different rides, if you will, that are like dungeons and raids and things. It's categorized by an end game, which, you know, you're usually waiting for the developers to make the big next thing, which will move the story forward for you and will give you new content to take part in the new ride to go on. Whereas with a sandbox, it's much more, rather than being the hero, you know, bound by fate on the epic quest. You are much more of an adventurer going out into the world and discovering what is possible within it. So rather than it being a structured point-to-point-to-point journey, you are offered a large amount of space and a large amount of tools to interact with that space, you know, like having a bucket and spade in a sandbox. So a sandbox is much more about the way you enforce your will upon the world rather than reacting to what the world is telling you to do. And it's a subtle thing, and there's obviously pros and cons to both situations. But for me, the real draw and the real attractiveness of the sandbox is like the idea of a group of friends on an epic adventure, going out with some people into the world and seeing what's up, seeing what's happening.
Like D&D.
You know, like D&D's, like D&D. Just the possibility of adventure. You know, not, you know, what a theme park is, which we've all played and loved and had a really great time doing.
Sorry, I just want to apologize to Codavos. Just posted a question, and I went to grab it and accidentally banned him instead.
Oh no, and we'll never get the question.
No, I grabbed the question.
Oh, you got the question. Coda, we
grabbed
love
the
you.
question. Yeah, we love you, Coda. No, I unbanned him, but
yeah, but it's too late now. It's going to be 15 minutes.
Sakis, you're just mad because you're in the corner.
I did that with Omeed one night.
No, he's back again.
He's so mad, Sakis.
The minute I unban him, he comes back. It's just there's chat scrolling so quickly. I'm trying to grab them as they go, and it's like, sorry.
Oh, okay, there he is.
Story.
Yeah, he's back. See, I told you.
How did you do that? Because I banned Omeed that one night, and I couldn't get him back.
Because I am a legend, and you
are a
but
legend.
a man.
Nobody puts baby in a corner. Nobody. All right, thanks for coming, Terry. We will. This will be up on YouTube later if you want to check out the whole thing. Probably not, but whatever.
Thank you, Terry.
Nasty comments about Locksbeard. Go for it.
Yeah. All right. Yes. So back to the Q&A.
All right. Greer78. How can Next give players an incentive to play socially?
I think the crafting thing would be great, right? I think once you start crafting and you have to rely on another player, but maybe not. Maybe, I mean, did they say that we could be every Because in arcade you can be everything, right? So, can you be everything in this as well? Is it next? Do we know?
I've heard that from some old news, but I don't know if anything's changed
been so
since then.
long. I know.
So
Yeah, we don't know because you're not telling us.
Yeah. Well, there's being able to do anything in theory, and then there's being able to do everything in practice. Like if you tried to build one of the big end game vehicles, for example, by yourself in arcades, like it would be prohibitive. Like the amount of time that you'd need to spend in like leveling up various professions. Remember, you're limited in the amount that you can farm per day because of labor points and how much farmland you have. The amount of time it would take for you to be able, for the end game stuff, not those first few tiers of stuff. Yeah, fine, let people do everything. That's whatever. I think ultimately the only solution to it is to make cooperation the path of least resistance. It's the
how do you do that?
only way. Like, that's a very interesting question, though, man. And I think it's something they're probably asking themselves a lot internally. This is the thing. Like, so many people expect to be able to do more and more and more when they're playing MMOs by themselves. To me, it's like it doesn't play to the strengths of the genre. I think it's been detrimental to the genre if we look at the way that these games have progressed, or the way that the genre has matured into being a much more single player friendly experience. Because people complain when they have to find someone else to do something, but only if it's not the path of least resistance. Like if you put a path in front of someone and the only obstacle towards their goal is time, and there's no other effort involved, people will just take that. Like if there's another path that's a lot quicker but has a little hurdle on it, people will ignore that path entirely because it's not the most direct and it's not the easiest way of doing something. And that's just human nature. That's just what we do. And I think it's part of the game designer's job to create systems where it's just not really functionally possible. I think it's something you can get away with saving to the sort of end game, elder game, as it were. But I don't know. You hear all these statistics about like 60-something% of MMO players like spending most of their time playing alone.
I do.
And
That's sad.
It's just kind of.
I know it's sad, but it's at least for me, it's actually easier to play alone than it is to group up with somebody.
But yeah, that's in my opinion, it's the game's fault that you're playing by yourself. Then because you as a human being, as a Homo sapien, that's just what we do when we're presented with options in that way. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but I do think it just casts the game in a bad light, and it kind of forces the designer's hand when they're made to make so much solo content. It's like looking for group in an MMO. There's nothing inherently wrong with a looking for group tool, but because of the path of least resistance thing, people don't communicate with anyone. They press on the button, so you don't have to talk to anyone. You don't have to be a member of anything. You don't have to be reliable in any way. All you have to do is be the right level and be able to click a button.
Old WoW.
Then you get
Back before when you didn't have the LFG.
When looking for group first went in, like you just got to press a button. There's no other requirements. You get to the level by doing whatever, and you click the button. You end up in the dungeon. No one wants to talk to each other because no one knows anyone. No one trusts anyone. You got like different loot rolls going along. It's adversarial even within the dungeon. They had to change that eventually because people were flipping out so much about it. Then what happens is people get to a point where they can't progress anymore. Someone gets frustrated. Someone leaves. The whole group falls apart. No one has a good time. So what they end up doing to combat that is they make the dungeon completable without having to communicate at all with anyone, and not having to be reliable at all, not having to know how to play the game at all, because the only thing that's important is that people can get to the end of the dungeon. And that's it. Like, there's the only requirement. So you end up in a situation where the only requirements for being able to complete content are being the right level, by doing quests and then clicking on a button and then going in the dungeon and completing content that is designed to be done by people who are only capable of getting to a certain level and clicking a button.
Let me play devil's advocate here for a second then. What if I'm a type of player, I'm just going to play it this way, that I don't want to play with anybody else. I like the fact that it's an MMO, but if I wanted to play a single-player MMO, I could play like Mag just said, SWTOR, which was an excellent single-player MMO, right? And so the developer has to account for me as well. Like if I'm a portion of the population, then they have to think that it's 2:00 in the morning. Somebody wants to play, but they can't play without a group. So basically, they can't play our game at all. So they're not going to play it. They're going to go play something else instead. So they have to, at all times, I think that there has to be a way to fit a single-player portion into this game. And what ends up happening is that's where everybody flocks to. That's where our 60% comes from. So everyone's going over there to play on that. And then it starts this whole vicious cycle of then you need an LFG because you do need to get through some content that you can't do by yourself, so you're going to have to use the LFG part.
It's a difficult path. I do agree that, it shouldn't be the case that if you log in and there's no one else online, there's just it shouldn't be like there's a brick wall that, you cannot cross. You need to give players something to do by themselves so they can find each other to begin with. You can't expect people to log in and immediately get in the chat channel and be like looking for group, looking for guild.
But
I think that's unreasonable. But I don't think it should be possible to do the real content of the game without a group, because the solo stuff doesn't play to the strength of the genre. You look at a game like Skyrim compared to a game like the Elder Scrolls Online. Skyrim is a wonderful single-player experience because the entire world is crafted around the single individual. Like, everything that you do in that world matters and is important, and the game world revolves around you. And then you look at a game like Elder Scrolls Online that is massive in its design, but still tries to cater to a single-player experience, and all the MMO concepts of it completely fall apart, as well as the actual single-player experience itself. And for me, it's like I was saying, you can't design a game for everyone because you'll end up pleasing no one. So I think compromises have to be made, and if you're working within a genre... what about me? Like, I love MMOs, I love sandboxes, I love like big open world and lots of interaction between people, lots of possibility. What happens if I go into Skyrim and go, I hate playing this by myself. I want 39 other people here with me to fight this dragon.
Go ahead, Stakis.
No, I'm just putting my hand up. I agree. I hate Skyrim because it's just yourself. And
okay, but doesn't the public quest system that they're talking about happen? Doesn't that solve the problem that you were saying? Because now,
I think it's a great step, and it's potentially a really great tool to bring people together.
It didn't work in Warhammer Online. I mean, that's who the original public quest.
A lot didn't work in Warhammer Online. Let's be fair.
But that's how it started. I mean, so for those who don't know what we're talking about, they're going to have a thing where we're going to rebuild Halas, right? So we're all going to show up and we're going to join into a mass group doing something together. And
I think that's great. If you basically make that the kind of like baseline, you make it the goal, that's the public goal. Everyone can see it, everyone can like get involved and contribute and everything, but you use it as a way to bring people together. You make it a focal point that brings people together, and then during that process, you encourage people to do things together rather than doing things by themselves, or at least show them the possibility that they can get more done by working together than separately. A lot of people will still just play by themselves. No matter how you design the game, there are people who will just be stubborn about it and play by themselves, and that's fine. It doesn't affect my play experience. If they're not getting involved, they're just they're off to the side.
As that public quest thing is good, because then I can just wander in, do my quest, and leave, and never have to talk to any of you guys. You know what I mean? I'm just playing devil's advocate here. I do kind of enjoy playing.
Yeah. Fine, Domo. Don't talk.
Yeah, just anti-social.
I think people will play by themselves, but what I'm saying is like the danger comes when you start designing multiplayer content to be able to be completed by people who only want to play it by themselves. Mm-hmm. So, by all means, let people run around. They can gather stuff. They can craft. They can do things. They can fight mobs. But when it comes to a 5-person dungeon, it plays to the strength of the genre to make it, you know, a cooperative experience, in my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right, but here's the thing. Like, we're talking about a single-player experience. When you're playing an MMO single-player, you're not really doing much that you need to interact with another player. You're probably grinding out a quest, grinding out mobs, getting materials and stuff. You don't really need another player for that. But when it comes to things like dungeons, as Locke was saying, you probably want somebody else there to help you out. Maybe you don't know what you're doing. You can always ask someone. But, you know, it's 5 a.m. You can't do it. So, something Guild Wars 2... You shut up. You keep interrupting everyone.
It's okay.
It's what I do.
I know it is. So in Guild Wars 2, they had this awesome system they just didn't use very often. So you'd be running around a zone, you'd be by yourself, there'd be no one else nearby, and you'd get a drop that was like half a key. You'd be like, well, I can go out and grind this other half the key to unlock the jumping puzzle, or I can ask someone else and be like, hey, do you have this other part of the key? They might have it, and then boom, you've got it open to you. You could have had another player, or you could do it by yourself. Systems like that work well. I'd love to see more of them. That is my rant.
That's not a rant. It's okay. Stuck.
Shortest rant ever.
You have anything you want to pipe in with?
I think, I mean, Locke's touched on it a bit, that you can't please everybody. And if you try, you're going to end up disappointing everybody. You know, if you make a game aimed at a single player, the people who love playing in a team are going to be disappointed. If you make one that's designed specifically for groups, the person trying to play single player is going to find they can't do stuff without a group, and they're going to be disappointed. I mean, I'm one of the lesser percent. I'm the lesser percentile where I don't really like a lot of games that, even in an MMO where you're just yourself running off. I like being in a group. I play primarily games that are team based. You know, like Battlefield, you squad up, you've got a team. PlanetSide 2, you're in a faction. I mean, I can go in and play PlanetSide 2 with 150 other guys on my team and just be myself and have an okay time. But I have the best fun and the most awesome experiences playing that game when I'm playing with a bunch of my friends.
Yeah.
And it goes for a lot of my games. And I tend to you know, gravitate towards that type of gameplay. Not that I can't hold my own in a battle when I'm on my own. I just derive more fun from the interaction of my mates and even some strangers sometimes. Like, I've had some really, really great games with myself and just a bunch of strangers, but we've all played as a team. We've all played as a squad or something, and we've just had, you know, really, really great games. And I guess as far as my opinion goes, I like that type of gameplay. So, you know, I'm not the one that's going to jump in at 5 a.m. and just want to quest by myself and not do anything. I'm going to want someone by my side enjoying the ride with me as I go along. So
that's fine. Some of us have insomnia.
You know what? PlanetSide 2, I'm so glad you brought that up. Like, you just got me thinking. It's such a good example of a game that you can jump in and you can play it by yourself, but you shouldn't expect in PlanetSide 2 to be able to do the things that you can do in a squad, even a small squad. If you're with 5 people on a voice chat in PlanetSide 2, you can get tons more done. Like, you can get so much more done, and you know, than 5 individual people who aren't like working together or cooperating. And that's just like a small group, like 5 people at peak time is, you know, I don't think that's unrealistic if you're logging in to play a multiplayer game. I don't think it's unrealistic to be able to find 4 other people to get on a voice chat with. And then, you know, it builds from there, isn't it? Suddenly you get groups of 20 people or 50 people, like, all attacking these large sites. And it's like you said, Domo, you can get in and run around and do your thing and have fun and, like, you know, get the points and everything. But you shouldn't, in my personal opinion, you shouldn't expect to be able to achieve as much as the people who are organized and are playing in a group, because the game is designed to be played in a group. And my fear is when you start designing the game to be played, to be achievable by individuals, then the whole thing just breaks down.
Don't you find that these games are multiplayer more for us, right? I'm saying us right here. Say all 5 of us are sitting down and we go, you know what, let's play something tonight. What can we play? Oh, let's play EverQuest next. Great. We can all get on together. We'll all be on TeamSpeak or Skype or whatever, and we'll do our run, and we'll have a blast because we can do it together. But to ask a player to go out and join like a public system where now I've got to go meet some guy who I don't know and I don't trust, and then we're going to have to go do a run together, and he could be some 16-year-old kid who just broke up with his girlfriend, didn't care anything about you trying to be successful in this mission that we're trying to do, but he has to do it anyway. So it's that whole thing. So you've got your real friends that you want to do your stuff with online, or your guild or whatever, and then could be a bunch of people in your guild, yes. But then you also have the general public type of thing where I now have to do this quest over here. I've got to finish up this one area, and until I get some friends to help me, I'm not going to be able to finish it. So
you shouldn't be able to finish it.
It's luck of the draw, though.
It's multiplayer content. If you don't have multiple players, you shouldn't be able to finish it. That's the type of thinking that leads to looking for group, and then it leads to the degradation of the difficulty and complexity of the multiplayer content, because people have to be able to do it with people that they don't know and don't want to speak to, and then you end up with looking for raid, and then you end up with tokens for gear instead of actually.
What if you have no friends?
Successful. What if you have no friends?
What if you're a person that just maybe doesn't? You're not very social.
Then playing online games is an excellent way to meet people.
Well, it is. It honestly is. Like, I've met half my friends online playing games in a guild.
But it mirrors real life, so you're going to have problems where if you're online with somebody is just socially inept, maybe they have some social phobias and they really have a hard time in the real world, getting them online to have a useful experience, it's going to be hard, right? Because and should we be punishing them because maybe they have some social anxiety issues? Should we be saying they can't play this game even though it's online because they have to group up with people that they don't know and trust, and they're not really comfortable joining a guild and that kind of thing? So
I disagree, because I find a lot of the friends that I've made online are not necessarily people I would ever have met in real life, because of the fact that they're not necessarily person to person, face to face, a very sociable, or they're a socially awkward person, or they have anxieties about seeing people. But something about being online and anonymity and all that sort of stuff gives them a little bit more confidence that they can go out and meet people that they wouldn't necessarily have met. I know a lot of guys personally on my gaming community. There's about 40 of us now, and there's a good portion of those guys that I know for a fact are very socially awkward out in public. Yet you get them in game, you get them online, and you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know, because they've got that little bit more confidence, because they're not face to face. It's literally just either text chat, or maybe if they're brave enough to get. Some of them don't even get into voice chat. Some of them don't, because they've got that bit of anxiety. They don't like the interaction. There's that bit of personality between you, but they're still there and they're still enjoying themselves. They're still happy to come along and play. But I think it's actually a really good thing that these people that might not be very good at making friends can jump in, be just a guy behind a keyboard, and still partake and still have fun.
All right, Skylar, you've been wanting to say something a while. I've been seeing you sitting there sort of looking like you want to say something. So what are your thoughts on this? Because you're maybe coming at it from a different viewpoint than us fellas. I
think, well, if someone has a social phobia and they can't, or they don't want to group up with other players, I know it's harsh to say, but I don't necessarily think that every piece of content has to be made for every single type of person, and maybe they just don't get to do that content. Sorry. But that's also because I do play with a multi-gaming guild, and I have tons of friends that I always play with, and yes, I've met a lot of people who I have friends who are mute, friends who don't leave their homes because they have whatever personal problems. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they play MMOs with us perfectly fine.
It is a way to escape if you have those sort of issues.
Yeah, and just for grouping in general, it's the same regardless of whatever your problem is. If you play at 5 a.m. and there's no one around or whatever, then I just don't think you get to complete that content. I don't know. Maybe that's the wrong way to look at it, but that's just how I feel about it. I wouldn't expect to be able to do a 40-man raid by myself. Mm-hmm. So
Skylar's hardcore. I was trying to be nice about it, but I agree.
No, I'm not trying to be nice about it. I just think that's how it is.
The way I look at if you look at MOBAs 5 on 5, it's a team game. It's a multiplayer game. In the same way that an MMO, a lot of the content is multiplayer. If I was going going in and I was pugging in Dota 2, I would not expect to be able to beat an organized team that was on TeamSpeak. I don't think that should be possible, and I don't think anything should be done to the game to make my chances equal to them. I mean, at the same time, I can go in by myself, and I can pug and I can play with people I've never spoken to and get really annoyed because like someone's doing something wrong. Mm-hmm. And you know, I can go in and I can play, but it's not the way the game is designed. It's not an optimal experience for me, and I cannot expect to do that and achieve the same things that an organized team would be able to achieve. And for me, that's what it comes down to. It's the expectation of players that like I should just be able to do everything without putting in the same thing that these other people have put in.
Well, Fruckface has a really good point here. I agree with the point that, and I said that right? I agree to the point that you might miss some content by not grouping, but you should be able to do something.
Oh,
yeah, you can do something. But there's nothing.
Yeah.
You can.
You don't have to form a group before you log in. You know,
Right.
So you shouldn't expect to be able. You shouldn't expect to be able to complete the same content that people that play as a dedicated 40-man group for 12 hours a day for a month because they're going for a world first on a raid. You know, you shouldn't be able to. You shouldn't expect to be able to do that.
Right. All right. That was one question. We talked for 40
Your
minutes.
one question.
All right,
very serious business.
Yeah, it's fine. No, it was a really good topic, and Omeed, I guess, and really enjoyed it, and everyone in the audience is. It's great because I'm watching while we're all talking. I'm watching the interaction going back and forth between the people, and some people are on Camp Domo, and some people are on Camp Lock, and everybody's on Camp Skyline.
Are we in two different camps? I think we're saying basically the same.
We're basically saying the same thing. I was just playing devil's advocate because I'm actually pretty social. I ran a really large guild in World of Warcraft, so. I like.
I spend loads of time by myself in. I spend loads of time by myself in MMOs.
What do you do?
I spend loads of time just running around.
What do you do at home?
Running around gathering ore and stuff and farming. Farming's hella fun in arcade. It's great. I got so much cotton. Anyone needs cotton?
I will come look you up. I think I need cotton.
Yeah.
And, you know, when I say that I look primarily for team gameplay, that's not to say I'm not capable of sitting by myself and playing a game for 12 hours by myself. Mm-hmm. I have done, but I find I have the best experiences in the game. I get the most out of the game.
Oh, yeah. By all means, yeah. I definitely have more fun in groups, but there are times I just want to just veg out and go mine some...
don't want to hang out with us. Jesus.
Yeah.
Bunch
of
dicks.
Skyla, next, please.
Oh boy. I'm gonna combine a couple from Kodavas here.
Okay. Yep.
So I know how you guys are gonna respond already. Do you think SOE is working on EQN at all? It seems like there are only 4 programmers working on it.
Kodavas, you troll.
Do you think that delays in Landmark will cause EQN to be delayed? And do you think they're holding back features to announce them at cons like E3?
I wish Terry was still here because he could probably answer a couple of those straight up. I think that they probably have a skunkworks going on there, or like a black box room kind of thing, which has a single developer in it that's doing EverQuest Next, and they took him off and put him in the other room to work on H1Z1. So right now there's nobody manning the ship, and it's driving without anybody at the helm. No, I'm screwing around. No, I'm screwing around. I think that there's a full team there. They're just keeping it kind of under wraps while they're working. I think they probably have separate teams. They're not going to be having somebody on one day work on Landmark and then move them over and work on EverQuest Next. You know.
So do you think they actually are holding back features then to announce them at
I don't
cons?
think they're holding back features. I just think they're concentrating more on Landmark at the moment than anything.
Yeah, if they start throwing in a lot of publicity stuff about Next, it's going to confuse the people more. So leave Landmark alone until SOE Live, drop the big EQN bombs, and then we can all get excited about it there, I think.
I'll return in 2 quick moments.
Okay, bye-bye.
We just won't talk while you're here.
Stay low, Stockus. Yeah. I can't hear you. Stay low.
I think, they're probably holding things about Landmark back, as far as information goes. But as far as development goes, like, they have their thing. They're just trying to get things out as quickly as possible. Like, there's no benefit to them to hold something that they've got finished for SOE Live. Like, where I don't understand what the benefit of that would be, but it's a massive troll question. So
you think
start
so?
running
Coda's not a troll. He's an excellent builder.
Coda's a massive troll. He's funny, and I like him a lot, but he's a massive troll.
All right, next.
In the nicest possible way. I'm sorry, I don't mean that as an insult, Coda.
You are the ugliest person I've ever known, and I'm saying that to you in the nicest possible way.
I mean, I can say that to him. He's my boy. I can say that to him.
Big props to Coda. All right, go ahead there, Skyla.
From Kimball83. I don't want to be a hero in a game. I want to be a regular person with a choice to be a hero. Do you agree with that statement? Because I do. I would, if I had the choice to just like be an entertainer like an SWG and just stand around the bar and hang out with people and get experience for it, then hell yeah, I want to do that. I don't necessarily want to always go kill the world boss. So
I have a monk in WoW that is purposely roleplayed this way, where I transmogged everything I own into the lowest level brown crappiest looking gear I could find, right? And so he is not a hero. He's like literally a farmer that just kind of walks around and like just fights things just because it's something to do. He's not, I think of him as some kind of like kung fu monk, Sorry, Locke, you were going to say something.
I was just saying, I think Skylar's point is absolutely brilliant, and I think it ties back into the idea of soloable content as well. Like there are potentially a lot of things you can do in a virtual world that don't require other people for you to be able to do them. And I think especially in a sandbox type game, I think there should be. I hope that there will be a lot of things like that are possible. People are still arguing about it in the chat. It's so funny.
It's okay, let them go, man. It's all right.
Started a conversation.
Sometimes I make the mistake of looking over and I see something that upsets me.
Oh, really?
It makes me twitchy.
You need to do an after show with Locke.
They said they liked Foo. Don't have to defend her.
Foo's a boss. You better back off I'll come over there and smack you down, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
I will lay the smack down. Lay off my Foo.
I don't even know how Foo got involved.
Foo's boys will get in there and mess you up.
All right. Next, Skyla.
Looking for ones that we can actually answer. In Arcade, you can't do much in-game or mid-game content without a guild. Oh, that's sort of the same. We already answered that. Would you want to be able to do end-game content without a guild in Next? But we sort of answered that. We didn't have a lot of questions.
No.
Are we done already?
Kind of.
I've been pulling a lot over, but there's just been a lot more discussion.
Yeah,
which is cool.
Yeah, have they announced weather systems in-game, like rain and snowstorms and stuff from Cyberwolf? And I don't know if they have.
We need questions,
they said something about H1Z1 was going to have that, which makes me think it is possible.
Weather systems.
And not only is it weather, it gets things wet.
Yeah, like you physically get damp, like wood gets damp, and so
it won't light as fire. Yeah.
Light a fire. So I will pitch in because I do remember them saying specifically there was a little video that they made about weather. Where they were discussing how they want weather to affect the world. Do they just want it to be you walk outside and it's raining and that's it? It's just an effect and okay, it's raining, or do they want it to affect the game on a level that it's raining, therefore water pools up in places, or if it's snowing, does that then create a 6-inch layer of snow on the ground, and that then hinders your movement where that snow is? They were sort of throwing around ideas of, if they implement a weather system, how far do they go? If there's if you're in a desert area and there's a sandstorm, is it just a sandstorm and that doesn't really affect stuff, or does that then reveal things that wouldn't necessarily have been seen before, or does it literally hinder your ability if you come across someone in the PvP zone and there's this big sandstorm going? Does that then hinder your ability to combat? To combat. Good, learn English. Be good. But does it affect your ability in combat to then attack this person because your visibility's down, or because there's certain attacks that you do that the sandstorm sort of counteract, like, I don't know, some sort of wind move or something that you shoot out a big jet of wind that pushes them back? Is that now completely useless in a giant windstorm. So I know they're talking about it, but they've just not confirmed or denied any level of, they're talking about it, they're discussing it, but I've not seen any confirmation that, yes, we're going to have just an effect. You go outside, it's raining, it looks cool, or whether you go outside, you get wet, and then you start getting cold, or you get wet and you can't use fire spells because it's raining or whatever.
With the emergent AI system, the weather could really impact the behavior of NPCs as well, which could be a very interesting thing. So even if it didn't have like direct game-changing effects, like it could affect the actual world, whether it was happening or not. And if it was a dynamic system, because I remember when we were talking about this before, I was kind of going backwards and forwards about it, because it's sort of what I consider like a would-be nice feature. Mm-hmm. Like I don't think it's like a core sort of necessary thing. So it would be great, but now we've kind of seen it in H1Z1. I wonder if that's tied into the sort of AI, if they could make weather systems move with it in the same sort of way. Like if they gave weather patterns agency and they made certain weather patterns want to
actually give AI
move in certain ways around each other. I wonder if that's even possible. But I think it's an exciting thing.
It's not the voxel farm engine, which they will have. It's going to be the voxel farm engine in next.
Well,
yeah, different engines there.
So I know for a fact in H1Z1, if you're in a particular part of the map and it's raining, it is not necessarily raining on the other side of the map or another part of the map. They've designed it to make like localized weather patterns. So you may be having a nice sort of overcast sort of day, but over in another corner there may be a thunderstorm, or on the other corner of the map it may be sun and shiny and all nice and clean. So that's definitely a really cool thing as far as that's concerned. Just on topic that Locke mentioned about how it affects NPCs, I know I don't like Skyrim that much, but I know for a fact that weather does affect the game in a spot. Like I was watching Trendane play, and he had to talk to a particular vendor to get a quest going, but he couldn't because it was raining and that vendor was running a stall, and when it rains they go inside and they don't open their stalls because, let's be honest, you don't open your stall in the middle of a thunderstorm.
Right.
So, and so that's a really cool thing, and I would really, really like to see that sort of gameplay implemented.
I was just thinking that as well, yeah.
Yeah.
Even time of day, like farmers are not farming at night, most likely. Mm-hmm. So if they went inside or something like that, that'd be pretty cool.
You know what I'd really like?
What's that?
I'd like to have meteorology. I'd like
as a profession?
for NPCs or players to be able to predict weather patterns. Like if weather like has
trinket?
like a big effect on the world, how brilliant would that be if it was like, because it's a short day night cycle as well. So if you're playing for a few hours, you can be like, tomorrow it's gonna rain over here, and if we go where the rain is, it's more likely that this thing, like the mud elementals or something, are gonna be like in that area because they'll want to be like in the wet, and then we'll be able to like farm that. And if you know what the weather's gonna be like ahead of time and like move, I think that could be.
Are you talking like
where then players, like player agency becomes a factor, like in the weather? Like if you're just reacting to it, I think that's one thing, but if you can plan things based on what's going to happen, I think that's.
Are you talking about a levelable sort of thing where you the more you research it, read more books about it, you get better at it?
I think it could be.
It could be.
It's
he didn't think the idea through.
He didn't think it through.
Maybe Stackers, what I'm saying is you and me get together with some Vegemite and just see what happens.
Hey,
yeah.
Maybe that's what I'm saying. Yeah, if it was a player's skill.
I had a terrible thought there. 2 guys, 1 jar of Vegemite.
Oh, that's all right.
Let's not go there. Let's not go there.
We'll save that for the charity stream.
That'll be good.
Deal.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Next question, please. There's actually Cyber just posted one. Cyber, knock it off. Cyber is giving us play-by-play what's going on with the next great starship right now.
Oh, isn't you're here, not there.
Yeah. No, I don't want to hear about it. Dang, it is better than American Idol. That's why you're ruining it for me. Don't do it. Don't do it, man.
Oh, yeah. I haven't watched it either. You keep your mouth shut.
Yeah.
God damn it.
I thought you meant spoilers because he said weather would destroy crab shacks everywhere, and I was like,
no, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about he's saying what ships are getting knocked out of the next great starship. I'm like, stop it! I'll kick you out. Give you a timeout or something.
Get in the corner with Doggins.
Mm-hmm.
No, don't get in my corner. There's not enough room.
There's a little lion down there with you.
Or is there?
All right. Wilkie was asking me to ask his other question, so
Okay.
I will. All
Okay.
right.
Okay.
Free-to-play games try to catch as many people as possible. But with Landmark being as all-encapsulating as it is, does that mean that EQ Next can be a much more focused vision for a smaller niche of players? Will Landmark be trying to get all of the teeny boppers to play? I mean, Next, not Landmark.
Why does it have to be teeny boppers?
I don't know, because they're the ones I feel like picking on right now.
Oh, I thought maybe that was how you was insinuating the question. I didn't hear that.
Word, strong words, it's evocative.
I think it's going to appeal to whoever it's going to appeal to. If they read about it and they look into it and they think it's cool, I think they'll give it a go. Being free opens themselves up to such a large audience. It gives that player the opportunity to go, you know what, I've not ever tried anything like that, but it's free. It's not going to cost me anything to give it a go. And they might jump in and love it, or they might jump in and hate it, but it still gives them the opportunity to try it. So I don't think it's funneled at any one demographic. I think by being free, they've opened it to every demographic to at least try.
You think people who like Landmark aren't going to like Next? Because I know there are people who say they're going to like Next and hate Landmark. So,
Don't know.
indeed,
I'm doing my
It's
thinking face.
It's a personality thing. I mean, if they might love Landmark, they might not like Next, but that doesn't mean that it's been designed specifically that way. I mean, I'm sure there are people that like all sorts of games but don't like others. I mean, that's kind of a really...
say it ain't so.
Yeah, I know. Tell me about it. It's a very open question, though. I mean, it's like, well, why do I like a particular type of food and you don't? It's because we have different tastes. So, the best thing they can do is try and make at least like there's something, they're like a little sample tray that there's something for everyone to have a go at. But at the end, you can't please everyone.
I think that's the core of Next. Honestly, is that you can't please everyone.
Right.
And I'm glad that Terry said that. Actually, I think that I'm glad that that's their philosophy.
Well, they do have an incredibly sort of strong vision for the game. I mean, I think from what we've heard them say, it's like they want the game to appeal to, people that self-identify as like very hardcore MMO players. They obviously want there to be like those kind of extreme challenges that draws those people in. But at the same time, it's like, how, I don't know. I hate to use the term casual because I think it's got too many connotations that aren't useful anymore. But like if you're trying to draw in a big crowd, then you're drawing in people that are just going to pick it up occasionally and then put it back down again. And I wonder how much EQ Next, with what we know about it, like how much it can appeal to them. Where obviously, with Guild Wars 2. They advertised it as being a changing world, and like I know Scarlett, you feel the same way that I do. That they sort of let people down on that promise, but players still went nuts when events were one time only, or like only one weekend. People threw an absolute shit fit when they found out that they couldn't access certain things that could happen. And the way that EQ Next is being built,
it's all it is, really. I mean, they're talking about you're not only going to build Hallis once. You're not going to build unless somebody comes in and knocks it back down.
Could happen. I think it's an interesting point. I think it's going to be different, and I think that will put a lot of people off. Whether they look at it and go, oh, that's not for me, and they ignore it completely, or if they try and play it like an MMO that's come before and don't get the results that they want. Another thing that happened with Guild Wars 2, which is, it was similar. A lot of people went into Guild Wars 2, and people still say now, like, the questing's the same. It's just hearts instead of exclamation points. It's like, if you're playing Guild Wars 2 and you're going heart to heart to heart to complete them, like, that's not what the designers intended you to do. But people projected like the way that they've been trained by other games. They projected that onto the game, and when they didn't get the result that they were expecting from that, the communication wasn't there. And the same thing will happen in Next. Like people will go and they'll project their training onto it. They'll sit there and they'll be like, I know how to play a game like this. If they start getting results that aren't up to like what they think that they should be, then it'll really put them off the game, and that there will be a backlash because of the difference. So it's tough.
A good question that just came in from 100.
It's very very good question.
That is a good question.
We'll go back to that in 6 months to be sure, because I think we'll know a lot more by then.
100th Monkey says, is the one-time nature of rallying calls going to be a problem for international players?
Depends what the time scale they do it with is. If it's going to be like a 24-hour event or a week event, then it depends how they're going to do it. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
Because they've said that rallying calls are long, so I don't think that it would
be weeks or months, maybe.
Yeah,
I don't think it's going to be like a 1 hour thing, and if you make it, you're lucky enough to get it. I think they're going to give people enough chance to it in there.
Yeah, they talked about the rebuilding of Hellas, which was supposed to be, I think, a month or month and a half event, if not longer, from what I remember from a month, 6 months ago or a year ago, whenever we started doing this.
From my understanding of it, like thinking about a rallying call in terms of being an event is probably not exactly what they want it to be. Like the rallying call, as far as I understand it, it's much more a way for them to deliver story within a world that makes sense. It makes sense contextually within the world. So things will be happening and the story will be progressing, but I think they'll want it to progress at a pace that feels organic. I don't, and as well with the destructible and constructible nature of the world, like they don't have to flip a switch, and it doesn't have to go immediately from black to white. It can travel through all the different shades of grey. But a big problem, as I said before, will be a lot of people will throw a massive shit fit if they feel like they can't experience enough of it or as much of it as they want to experience.
But don't you want to be the guy walking around with that cape?
There.
You got the Halas cape that was meant that you were there at that event when it happened. I mean, there's that part of it too that we want to have some kind of thing to say, look, I got this thing, and oh, sorry you can't get that now, buddy, but you weren't here back in the old days when we had to rebuild Halas.
Well, they're training us for that already. Omeed is using us as puppets in his evil ploys. We've already done it. The things, the feather in a bottle, they're saying there's limited numbers, and when they're out, and you're not going to be able to get one. They're already putting it in people's minds, like some of this stuff's going to be limited.
Yeah.
Wilkie makes a good point. I think it would be less of an issue for international players and more of an issue for players that join the game. Well, he's used the term 3 months down the line, but I mean, if a rallying call lasts a week, it's going to be the players that maybe only log in, once a month or 2 times a month. They're going to be the people that miss out, not necessarily, I think, people from different time zones. And I will add that also, I think nowadays a majority of more I'm not trying to bash on casual players, but more serious players of any particular game, like myself being an international player, you tend to do revolve around the US time zone just because a lot of the games are hosted around that sort of time clock. So you kind of arrange your playtime so that you're kind of on the trailing edge or the leading edge of that particular time zone. So I mean, I know Bod, if he's in chat, he's almost completely, because he plays a lot of WoW. And he plays on US servers almost completely, and so I know he's changed a lot of his lifestyle habits to revolve around so that when he's up and he's doing stuff, when he logs into the game, it's during like the prime time of a US server. So I mean, I don't think it's really going to be that much of an issue. More so the people that just don't log in that often that are going to be the ones that probably miss out.
It's not a 24-hour clock issue. It's more of a how much you're going to play.
Yeah.
Remember, the rallying calls, it's not a case of it being a timed thing either. It doesn't move from one state to another state on a specific timer. Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's due to events that happen in the world, and those events can conflict with each other or they can cooperate with each other. So things will happen in a greater or lesser time, and a lot of it will come down to how secretive SOE can be about like what triggers certain outcomes. I think the emergent AI system and utility systems that hopefully will be robust enough to sort of shield a lot of that, I think will be interesting to see. But yeah, Brad Powell pointed out that we're the abilities given by the items that limited at the moment. Like the abilities will still be available in the game, but my point was like the item itself is
but at
one
this
time
point,
only.
it really
So
doesn't
like you
matter.
say, the cloak from last,
The
like,
items
you
you're wearing right now, you can't see. Like I'm talking, that's why it's really honestly later on in the game you will be able to double jump and all of that, but you won't. It'll be some other item. But these are sort of hidden. Like you can I guess say something. Hey, I've got a loot ranket. Look at my inventory. You know what I mean? But that's not the same as wearing a cape that says, "Hey, I was here at that point." So, Omeed, that needs to happen, buddy. The next thing we give away has
to be... He has us
6
muted like some
down
sort of
the
jerk.
I know. He's like to listen to us. He's
You
like
have-
Lockhart
Just
just running
spam
on.
chat with "give us capes." He will listen to us.
All right, everyone type
thing
in
is,
exclamation
everyone
point,
wears-
give us
everyone
capes.
wears the thing that's current anyway. No one cares. People just put things in their banks and look at them. You know.
Yeah, but you want to be able to show off that you have some item.
Prestige.
But, yeah.
Oh,
you
yeah.
do want to be able. You do want to be able to show off. But I was just saying it's a kind of. It's a time limited problem, you know. It's like whenever a new MMO comes out, there's always the kind of like rocky economy period at the start when no one really knows what's going on, and like there's huge like wealth disparities. No one knows what they're doing, and then after a while, it like stables out. And it's the same with like introducing new items and new cosmetic items into the game. Eventually, you get to the point where there's enough of them that it's so flooded that individuality becomes higher prized than having the item of the moment. I think personally, though, that's what I've seen from playing MMOs.
Batman cape confirmed.
Yes!
Hashtag
Yes.
capes.
In Batman
Yes.
games.
I know. I know Omeed is, but it's got to be the right one. Omeed. It has to be Adam West Batman cape. Has to be.
Adam West.
It has to
I
be.
was talking sharp repellent spray today. True story.
All right, I'm giving
And you
away
have to
200 Domo coins. The enter the raffle, you have to type in exclamation point and give us cape.
Yep. And it's got to, and it's got to be. There's got to be an emote where if you're wearing the Bat cape, that you can do the Bat 2C. Yep.
All right.
Needs to happen.
Needs to happen. Make it happen, Captain. All right, do we have one more question here from Allie Freeborn, and I guess we can probably wrap it up there?
Is that the one you want?
Yeah, it's a real raffle, Captain Robot.
No,
yes.
I mean, is that the question you want? Okay, because it says, did they not say that rallying calls will be different for each server?
Yes.
Just type back the conversation, and yes, they will.
But yeah.
Depending on how your server progresses.
How you this server's one way, this server's another way. Look at all the
So-
people. Give us cape.
Story bricks. That's what you got to look.
So if you want to be a part of each one, you just might have to make a character on each server.
If you can.
Yeah.
And then you will have to somehow know what all the possible triggers and what all the possible outcomes of those triggers are for all the different agents that have an effect on the way the rallying call works. So story bricks. It's all about hooks. It's all about possibilities, like different actions have different effects. It's very exciting. I'm totally
It
pumped.
says C-Lock, notice how no one is asking for capes. See,
No one is asking me.
He's got us muted, so he doesn't realize that this is a raffle.
Yeah, he has no idea. That's great. All right, I'm going to close it off. What is the one thing everyone is looking forward to most about EQN from Geek Early Gaming?
Oh, good question.
Ooh.
Combat.
What was the question? I was just laughing at Omeed, a person who works at SOE on EQ Next is threatened by me, a guy on the internet. I just want to point out, his reign of terror is coming to a close.
Your beard is intimidating him.
It is.
We are the
It
resistance.
intimidates me sometimes. I wake up and it's standing over me. What was the question? Sorry.
What is... Goodness great. Why do I even talk to you people?
Sorry.
No, we were laughing at
I'm
Locke's
just-
beard standing
Sorry, you
over him.
deserve that.
What is the one thing you are looking forward to most about EQN?
Ooh.
Combat and PvP.
Characters and races for me, because I'm an altaholic and I'll make one of everything at least 3 or 4 times.
I'm looking forward to being a part of something that happens in game that is truly groundbreaking and revolutionary. I want to be like when the first type of something in that game that's never been done in an MMORPG before, when in a big event that's never been seen of that type before. I want to be there on the front lines, wetting my knickers, watching it all go down.
Oh yeah,
I'm really looking forward to that.
That's scary because that means
you'll need a new chair.
Yeah, wetting your knickers though.
That's why I've got a towel in it, just in case.
You might have to get that checked, Stock, because it's not usually a boy problem, really. But yeah. All right, Skyla, what are you most excited about?
I'm just as excited for another EverQuest game. I'm excited to be playing a game that so many people are so passionate about making, and I think that is going to make the entire experience more exciting. Which I know that's like a weird answer because it's not like an in-game thing that I'm most excited about, but I think that if they love what they're making, that the in-game stuff is gonna flow awesomely from that.
It's gonna rock. Tobran, did you answer yet?
Yeah, combat and PvP.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, he wants to pwn noobs.
PvP king.
Get that fight
Respect.
All
right, I guess we're done, guys. Let's go ahead and do the raffle drawing. Here we go. This is for 200 Domo coins. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Davins! Congratulations, Davins.
Well done.
Congratulations, good sir. You now have 200 Domo coins.
200 of them.
200 of them, which you can use for nothing. All right.
Stuff.
Stuff and words and things. Thanks, everybody, for coming by tonight. Thanks, Skyla. Thanks, Tobran. Thanks, Locke. And Stockus. Would you please go around the room and tell everybody where you come from, what you do on the internets, and where people can find you? Well, go ahead and Skyla, you can go first.
I came from my
Ladies
mommy.
first.
No,
that's a little too far back.
I do social media stuff for 10 Hammer, and you can find me at Skylatron everywhere on the internet, streaming and Twitching or Twittering and all of the other things.
She is also a bearded warrior and an Amazonian princess. She's more the princess. And on to our next princess, Tobran.
Why?
No beard, you're a princess.
No beard, you're no beard, you're a princess, buddy. That's the way it falls
I
out.
will be a bearded princess one day. It's my life goal.
That's not a problem.
Get there.
I'm closer to it than you are.
No one likes you, though.
That's true. No one likes me.
Exactly. And we all know who pwned who in Project 1999, so...
Yes, while you were drowning.
Was that before, after, or in between you drowning?
During.
During, because that's how good I am. Yeah.
Oh, right. Skills.
Yeah, elite skills. Not just skills, right? My name's Tobran. I make videos. I stream on Twitch. I tweet things. And that is me.
Yep,
you can find any one of those things by typing
He's
Tobran
also a bearded warrior.
It's contacts are in the chat.
Bearded princess, get it right.
Bearded princess.
We went through this.
Damn. You look like
Yeah. I think that's actually Trendane's job to be the bearded princess, but
yeah.
All right, Mr. Locke, good sir.
Hello.
Yes.
That's all I have. That's all I have to say about.
That's all you need to say about
Wizard
that.
Locke looks over me while I play my games.
Why are you playing the game, Stackers? I think if you follow me on Twitter, you'll be able to find out what I'm doing. I write a column for a website that is zam.com. It's called You're Next. It's all about EverQuest Next and Landmark and, the sort of context of the wider MMO genre, I guess. So, yeah, have a look.
Do you have Snowman just asked, do they have a page over there specifically set up for your Locke contributions?
You can find it if you search for the tag You're Next, or if you press there's a little home button with a star in it. If you click on that and then click on Top Stories, I think you can get to it through that.
Okay. All right, Mr. Stockass.
Yes, I am Sergeant Stackers. I'm going to put my stuff in there. Got to do my thing. I'm Sergeant Stackers. Yes, you can follow me on Twitter at Sergeant Stackers or on Twitch, Sergeant Stackers. And I am also a member of the Bearded Warriors, although I'm a slightly trimmed warrior at the moment.
Mustachioed warrior.
Yeah, it got a bit unwieldy, but it'll grow it back out again.
It's not unwieldy. Locke's is unwieldy.
No, his is glorious and epic, and I want to sleep in it nightly.
It does look soft. I can imagine you, Locke, in 50 years when your beard goes white, you will look just like Santa Claus.
well, I don't know about
confirmed.
Santa,
Locke is Santa Claus.
I don't know about that.
Oh,
I think
shit.
I think he's secretly.
I'm not
Gandalf.
saying that I'm not Santa Claus. I might be someone.
Saint
Maybe.
Jesus.
Hey, I'm not saying that I am Jesus, but if I was Jesus, this is the type of place I'd be, wouldn't it?
Amen to that, brother.
Oh,
What?
dear.
Hallelujah.
I want to make it very clear that I am not saying I am Jesus. That's for you to think about, isn't it?
That's deep. And on that bombshell, I'm Geekdomo. Oh, holy shit. He's a cherub. He's a cherub. Yeah, he's gone full cherub on us. Anyway, yeah, I'm Geekdomo. I have my show here, of course, all the time. And thanks you guys so much. We're actually only 17 subscribers away from our 250 goal, which is a big deal. And working on it every day. You guys, if you haven't seen the show, usually I'm here from Monday to Sunday. 6 in the morning till about...
That's every day.
Yeah, pretty much 8 days a week. I'm here doing my stuff. So, thank you so much, everybody. We will be back, not next... Oh, yeah, real quick, remember, for those who might have come show late, we will not be here next week. Next week is our charity drive for Mr. Madman Moose, who has come down with cancer again. And we are going to do a charity drive for him. It's going to be a 24-hour stream. It'll be right here. And these guys will probably be involved somehow. And we'll let you know more about it as the week goes on. So stay tuned for all that information. Next Friday, we're going to be doing the 24-hour charity drive on this channel. So it'll go right through when we normally had this show. Okay? So we will see you all next week, one way or the other. Do you want to raid somebody? We don't usually raid somebody from here, do we? I don't usually raid after a podcast, but I guess we could. Let's see who we can raid.
Who's going?
We can say,
who's doing?
next raid. Hold on. Figure it
out. Chris is well on my list. I don't know if you've got anyone else on that list.
I got Chris. I got Hazardous Mouse. We could do Chris. Let's do Chris. He's a bearded warrior, so might as well do Chris. Yep.
Let's do Chris.
All right, he has lots of Z's, everybody. So look for Stock as you put his link up.
Oh, does he have one? Hang on, I can just hang on. I cut and paste. Give me a sec.
I got it.
You got it?
Yep.
Good on you.
All right, everybody, we're gonna go raid Chris, I guess. Tell him we said hi, and it's a next raid.
Next raid.
Next
Do your Domo raid emotes, all you Domo tribes peeps?
Yeah, Domo
Show
tribe
the
people
love.
can do that. Yeah, it's Domo DOMO capital RAID. All right. Until next time, everybody. We'll love you. We'll see you next